Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com. It's our Final Four betting preview show where we're going to give you our thoughts and maybe some early leans on the two games in the Final Four on Saturday between San Diego State and FAU and UConn and Miami. And it's like I had to think about that for a second because I can't believe all four of these teams made it to the Final Four. UConn doesn't shock me, but the other three, I guess some people would have made a case for Miami, but San Diego State and FAU, raise your hand if you pick them to go to the Final Four, and I'll put it down because you're an absolute liar. Anyway, without further ado, let me introduce my guest, and you guys are quite familiar with him, Mr. Jesse Schule of jesseschule.com and Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net. So let me say hello to these gentlemen. First, Mr. Jesse Schule, the best barbecue man in all of Southeast Asia. Jesse, how are you, my friend?
Thanks for the kind words, Ross. But I got to say, Ross, don't sell yourself short. When we did our pre-tournament show, you said this Miami team could make the Sweet 16 and or Elite Eight. I believe those words came out of your mouth.
Sweet 16, Final Four long shot pick. I had him, I believe, or something along those lines. So,
well, yeah. So who would have guessed? I guess it would have been you.
Yeah, I guess. But I didn't raise my hand, so I'm not a liar. Anyway, Sean, how's everything going? I know you're a volume high handicapper, so that means since the last time we talked, you probably had 20 or 30 college basketball selections. And if you didn't, it's because there's not enough games. Anyway, how you doing, buddy?
I actually had some winners there, so I got finally, I don't say lucky, but you finally get some breaks sometimes. Like I had a nice a 2-0 Saturday. I did lose on Sunday. I had Texas myself. I was not what I was expecting there, but not bad. It's been all right. We're still listen. I'm not Jesse Schule, 67% esque. You're 63%. I'm more 53, like barely getting a little by, but I'll take getting by because it's a long season and it is what it is. I'll take that over the course of the year. And listen, I'm excited for baseball. We're just talking before we came out. You're like, baseball, guys. I'm like, it's baseball on Thursday. I can't wait. So I
wish I was excited as you guys are for baseball. I don't know what it is.
It's every day. There's just so much. I know people kind of know because it's a lot to digest in daily baseball, right? Because you got to worry about, it's forget about, we're so used to NBA back-to-backs, guys don't play. These guys play 6 days in a row. Maybe, you think about, it's a day game after night game on a Thursday. Maybe somebody's going to sit. Maybe one guy sits out.
And sometimes it's all predicated on a starting pitcher because no matter who's in a lineup, if a guy's red hot on the mound, he's going to give them an opportunity to win. So, I always like to say I could handicap baseball in a rocking chair, but it's never that easy.
I feel like even with sports times, a lot of times we talk about betting big kind of faves and where we go numbers wise, basically get that. And we've all been doing this a long time. So maybe it's I just concentrate. I want to keep challenging myself. And all right, the percentage might not be there. Again, 500% in baseball, I'm going to make money. Last year, I think I was 47%, and I made a plus 3,000, whatever I was on sports capping. I know there are a little different records on the two sites based on the lines.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just so much to bet on. And I'm not even a guy, this from in game. It's not like I'm first basket guy or first five. There's just a lot of ways to hit baseball. That's a game you want to live bet. I'm going to say sure to live bet a baseball game because there's just a lot of different things you can bet on. And it's my favorite sport. It is. Football's great. Baseball, it's 7-something months every single day of the week.
Yep. And that's Sean Higgs over at picksandparleys.net. And he wakes up.
When's the baseball show, Ross?
He wakes up in the morning with a rant, and as you could tell, he can't wait for baseball season. Jesse, what's your thoughts on baseball? You're excited as well?
I always love when a new sport starts up. I find that the bookmakers are slow to really dial in the lines, and you can take advantage of some soft lines early in the season. I was able to do that last year. I went 9-1 with my first 10 baseball picks last year.
This guy gets that. He flies out of the gate.
Exactly.
If he was a horse, you could put your money on Jesse setting the pace. So,
well, do you guys think that's true, that the lines are going to be a little softer in the first couple of days?
I think that's the case in every sport. You know what I mean? Yeah. In the get-go, I always like to say, like in college football and the NFL, if you're going to get them early.
Exactly.
Because once a few weeks into the season, these guys have a pretty good handle on everything. I mean, look, here's the thing, as good as odds makers are, and I always say, respect the odds maker, don't fear them, but don't think you're smarter than the odds maker. But having said that, they're still human. And with the NFL, with free agency and the changeover in personnel from year to year, which seems to grow every year, it's a little tougher for them to get a handle on that. Now with college football, the same thing, the transfer portal, college basketball, the transfer portal. So these guys really don't know. I mean, you could say, look, they had the number one transfer portal class in the NCAA football this past off season, but at the end of the day, they still got to you don't know.
Didn't work out for Nebraska, did it?
Yeah, no, you don't know if there's going to be any chemistry there. So, in any event, this is a basketball show, as Sean did bring up.
I was going to say, let's get back to football real fast. So, Jess jumps out pretty fast in his sports all the time. I feel like, what do you guys feel like for NFL? Like, because the lines come out and you could just kind of jump on them right away. And I don't know about to you, like whether it's baseball or football, college hoops, you got to have the teams you like, right? You're going to like, I'm kind of high on this team. I feel this team's going to go that way. Like for baseball, I have my teams are going to want to bet on early. I kind of like, but like for NFL, I feel if I can't come out strong in week one, like, does that mess up your entire, like you come out firing, you're good. You're like, I'm going because you're off to the races. The bankroll's inflated already. Like you're ready to go 1-2 or 1-6, whatever. You're ready for a losing day, but you come out super hot. You feel like it's going to be a good year. If I'm hitting in week one here, I just, right. You feel that way. Like you get that first week, you kind of like, it's going to be good.
Well, between like what Jesse just said, the excitement of a new season. Yeah. Sometimes you might be coming in not on a high note from the season that you're dealing with, whether it be in college or the NBA basketball. And you get off to a good start. It just reinvigorates you mentally. Yeah. I know that Sports Capping does a fabulous job of tracking everybody's picks, and you could really narrow it down to by the month totals, money line, the whole 9 yards. And I know that since I started at Sports Capping in 2010, I am around 66.7%, somewhere in that area, on my NFL picks in September. However, on the other hand, college football, I haven't got off to good starts, but I've heated up as the season goes along. So, I know in college football, I get off to a couple bad weeks, and it's like now you have to climb uphill, right? So it takes a mental toll on you, and sometimes that mental toll could affect your concentration and focus. That's my thoughts anyway. And you have to overcome that, and you have to be cognizant of it. And these are the kinds of little head games you have to play within yourself as a sports handicapper. Jesse, any thoughts? And then we'll get to the basketball games.
Well, I mean, I guess I can remind everybody that I started the NFL season 10-0. I started the college season 22-3. And I have to attribute to the bookmakers putting out soft lines, me doing my homework. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of previews, conference previews. And of course, you got to do your research if you're going to do previews about teams. And that helps me. And I think that gives me a bit of an edge early on. Of course, you can't keep those kind of percentages up all year long.
No, it's
definitely better in September than I am in October, November.
I mean, but you get off to a great start in a sport over the first 3 or 4 weeks, and you're playing with house money. You're not afraid to lose. How could I put this? We're always afraid to lose. You're not betting scared. You know what I mean?
You're not chasing anything.
Yes, exactly.
One last thing, and I'll keep it short and we'll get into the basketball. Like Russ said, he started out hotter in NFL than college or vice versa, or any sport. Like I feel when I'm doing good in one, like when NBA starts, I know I'm going to be on college basketball, so I'm not that concerned. But then like if you're doing better in one than the other, do you find yourself concentrating more on one? Like me, I'll concentrate more.
Yeah.
Here comes baseball season. My final four pick. I knew who I was going to bet on Sunday with the game, so I've been concentrating on baseball. Like do you find yourself just moving to a sport you're better at? Let's be honest. Some sports you're rolling along one, the other one's like bumpy. You're like, you know what? I'm not gonna bother with it. I'm not making money in it. I'm not gonna worry about it. Like it's NFL, college football, college hoops are making money. I'm not worried about NBA. Like why? I don't know. That's just me.
Jesse.
I always try and concentrate on what's bringing in the bacon, what I'm the most successful with. It presented quite a dilemma last year when I'm hitting 88% in September with college football and 100% through the first 2-3 weeks of NFL. So, I didn't have the luxury of just
well, the pain
going to one.
Anyway, there you have it. There's some good theories there, right there. I mean, if you want to know the mindset of handicappers, God bless you. You got three absolute nuts, and the rest of the people in the industry, believe it or not, most of them are more nuts than we are. So you have the sanest of the bunch here. In any event, let's get to the two Final Four games, and we're not going to give you actual picks here, folks. If you want free picks in the Final Four, we'll supply them for you. Me and Doug will provide that on Thursday. Right now, I really want to focus in on taking a look at some of the betting specifics in both games and get the guys' thoughts on how they may approach each contest. And, one of us might have a early lean on one game or the other or both. So let's start with the San Diego State and FAU game. Intriguing, guys. It's hard to believe that one of these two teams, not hard to believe because they've earned the right to be here, right? But when you think about who the teams before even the NCAA tournament started, and let alone before the season started, the teams that we thought would be here, there was maybe 12 teams that were really high on the list of a lot of people who we thought would be in the Final Four. UConn might have been one of them. Miami, like I mentioned in our preview show before the NCAA tournament, is a sleeper. But, San Diego State and FAU, one of these teams is going to play for the national championship, Sean. Yeah,
I know.
And I think it's refreshing.
I love it. And, it's going to totally throw a dagger into next year's tournament because there's no way in heck that they're going to – the guys who make these brackets are going to allow that to happen again. They'll make sure these guys get eliminated way before here. They don't want that. They want Miami UConn championship game or anybody else than San Diego State or
well, I mean, you look at some of the teams. These guys have beat some good teams. FAU gets a little bit of a break in round 2 against FDU, a number 16 seed. But other than that, San Diego State has been real impressive. And look, FAU winning 2 games at the Garden in a high intensity situation against supposedly superior opposition, but. In any event, go ahead, Sean. I didn't want to cut you off there.
No. I was going to say, Florida Atlantic or even San Diego State getting here is not really a shocker to me because I thought Purdue would get knocked off by Memphis or Florida Atlantic. I was expecting FDU to come in there and pull out a win with them, but it's easy to sit back and say, well, they're here. I thought Alabama could get knocked out, but maybe by a Baylor team or someone else. I was expecting San Diego State. I mean, you got 2 teams. What is there to say in this kind of matchup? I want to bet both sides because they're both kind of like the smaller kind of underdog kind of team here. And the way Florida Atlantic's played, maybe they beat a little bit better competition. I know Alabama was the hottest team coming in. It's Alabama. This game here, I'm going to look at a total in this game though, Ross. I think it's the way we won't even get into how the game ended with we saw like some of these ref calls and late game shot selection by K-State, stuff like that, but. I'm going to think this is a underplay for me. And we talk about not picking. I already got the under. I'll tell you right now. I bet the under 132.5. I got a 131.
It's now 131.5.
131.5.
It's a consensus line. And I should have mentioned this before. San Diego State is currently a 2-point total, 131.5.
That makes sense. I mean, they're a little more experienced, I guess, and a program that's had a little success in tournament. They've, not success, I should say, but they're a little more of a name brand. I would put it. I just think we're going to see I don't want to say nerves, it's going to be a little different for both these guys. It's, you're playing they're in the dome down here in Houston, right? It's not a regular
NRG Stadium where the Houston Texans play. Yep.
Yeah, that place is enormous.
Yeah.
And again, it's as much as Florida Atlantic's put up some points in these games. I like the under last game. I had the under the game before that with them. I think they're an under kind of team. They play some defense. They shoot threes, which hey, if they're going right, wonderful. You're gonna get a bunch of points. But San Diego State, they're gonna come out. They're gonna defend that line. They're gonna make it a little more difficult on them. For me, it's an underside right out of the gate. Sidewise, I really got nothing. It's just an under based on the dome, the way San Diego State plays defense, and that's a team. They're a low scoring kind of pace team. They're not we're going to get into the 80s. I mean, they can score sometimes. You see them put some points up every once in a while, but you run through their games. It's an under for me. It's going to make a look at it. Yeah,
I mean, look at you're looking at a San Diego State team that's gone under the total in 12 straight games. They've gone under the total in 14 of their last 15. And Florida Atlantic, when there's been a total of 143 or less, they've gone over or under the total in 4 straight in that situation. So a lot of things point toward the under, Jesse. And one of the key points I thought of that you brought up before the NCAA tournament began in our preview show of the NCAA tournament was the fact that when teams go into these environments like Sean just alluded to, a football stadium that holds 70,000 people, and it'll be packed for basketball. But it's the backdrop in a stadium compared to an arena is much different. And the depth perception. Now, having said that, we had a ton of unders to start the tournament, 33-11 in the first 44 games. And then the over was coming in at an extremely high rate. Starting with the Sunday of the second round right through the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. So that turned around to the over. But Jesse, your thoughts?
Well, Ross, I'm going to tell the story again of the Detroit Tigers going over the total in 18 straight games about a decade ago in Major League Baseball, and Covers writing an article about me riding that over trend for the entire time. And if you're telling me that San Diego State's gone under in 12 straight games, and I've followed their totals closely, their totals have been in that 133, 135 range. So 131.5, is that enough of an adjustment? And when I look at the previous game against Creighton, is perhaps less of an under team than Florida Atlantic at this point. It would make more sense to me that Florida Atlantic would be content to play that slowed down pace with San Diego State. They've played some low scoring games. They played some pretty strong defense. So yeah, will I ride that under trend? You better believe I will.
Yeah, I mean, Florida Atlantic's one of those teams that depends on who their dance partner is. They don't try to force their style. They pretty much react. And if you want to play high tempo basketball, they could do that. If you want to slow it down, they could do that as well. I mean, and then you look at the Aztecs' last 8 games, San Diego State, they're allowing 55.8 points per contest over those last 8 and holding opponents to 35.1% shooting. This is also a FAU team that's held opponents to 40% or less than 40% shooting in 5 of their last 7 games. San Diego State gets a lot of love defensively, and rightfully so, because they're number 4 nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency. But Florida Atlantic is number 29 in that category. So one team has a reputation as an extremely good defensive team, and the other one in Florida Atlantic is underrated when it comes to their defensive play. So, yeah, a lot of things point to the under. I'm not willing to go there just yet, but that total right now is 131.5. We'll see where that total is when we discuss the games with Doug on Thursday, and maybe I'll have a play on the total at that time. Okay, let's move on to the next game, guys. Miami and UConn, real interesting matchup here again. Miami, what can you say? They keep getting negative publicity, but they keep winning. And I don't know why, because Jim Larinaga, to me, is a great coach. I mean, this is the second straight year he's brought him to the Elite Eight. He also took a George Mason team that was a number 13 or 14 seed back in around 2005 and got them to the Final Four. Right now, UConn -5.5, 149.5. That's, to me, a little bit of a heavy line, guys, especially when you consider the fact that this is a Miami team. Their last 3 wins in the NCAA tournament has all come as dogs. They beat Texas, Houston, and Indiana. Not bad teams, right? All top 20 teams. So, Jesse, I'll let you start on this game. What's your thoughts?
The line doesn't look that heavy to me. It looks fair. I know the Miami fans have been not that pleased with my position on Miami last week against Texas, but
But you've been a supporter of Miami right along, though.
Well, yeah, I was on with you. We both liked Miami early.
Yeah,
I had Miami a couple times, but last week against Texas, I thought Texas was the better team, and for 30 minutes of that game, they were the better team. Unfortunately, you got to play for 40 minutes, and Texas wasn't able to do that. But UConn, I mean, I said it before this tournament started that if you go back and you look at national champions, I said you got to go all the way back to 1966 when UTEP won. The last time it wasn't one of these big monster programs winning every year without fail. Even the last time a mid-major one was in the 80s with UNLV, but I think UNLV was one of the top seeds in that year. Yeah. I mean, they were a stacked team back then. They weren't like this San Diego State team sneaking in as a 5 seed or something like that. So UConn's the last monster standing. They're 4-time national champs. It's their 6th time in the Final Four. They're the ones that's supposed to be here. The teams that are supposed to be here usually end up playing for it all in the final. I got to lean towards history with UConn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the program is used to being there, but these particular set of players haven't been there. And you got to give Hurley, who's done a great job at UConn since taking over there and turning the program back into prominence. So, Sean, UConn 4 NCAA tournament games so far, holding opponents to less than 60 points a game and 35% shooting. A lot of people overlook that. And this is a Miami team that could score with anybody. 9-1 against the spread and 7-3 straight up this year. In their last 10 as a dog, and also 5-0 ATS and 4-1 straight up this year as the entire year as an underdog of 3.5 or greater. So they seem to thrive in the underdog role, and we've seen that in the NCAA tournament so far, Sean.
I got to say first, my NJ ties here to Hurley. My buddy from high school, John Yablonsky, was a walk-on Seton Hall, played with him. I remember seeing him on ESPN playing. The kid from high school. So I knew the Hurleys. My grandfather was a coach. And so when I met Mr. Hurley, the father.
Yeah. Legendary high school coach in New Jersey. Yep.
Yeah.
St. Anthony's Prep, if I'm not
St. Anthony's, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were buddies. So my grandfather coach, he was a ref back in the day, so I met him. He's like, looked at me. He's like, you can't be this guy's grandson. He's like, well, my grandfather's a little tiny guy, and here comes this giant. He's like, you gotta play football. You're not a basketball guy, are you? I'm like, I like to, shoot a little bit. But anyway, UConn, what a great job. As Jesse said, this is a team that should be here. It's got all the parameters, and they want to throw out all the numbers. They come in. This is a team that was one of a couple teams that should be in the Final Four championship game. And I gotta agree with Jesse. Yes, I had Texas too. I had them. I'm like, you know what? Why is that line so high? I look at this line, the same thing. Like, they're begging to take Miami. I've got against them 3 times. The only win I got was when I took them against Houston as a big dog, because I'm like, Houston, they could play a mismatch kind of game. And I'll give you another pick. I don't care. I don't mind. I'll share. I got UConn minus the 5.5. I will lay it here I got the big Hurricane sign. You see it there. I'm a Cane guy. That's more football back in the day, my youth. But the UConn team just looks.
They have a lot of swagger right now.
They do,
and I said that last
from Miami with a huge comeback, a 13-2 comeback win. It's tough to say, but I look at the line, and it just seems like Miami. It's so easy to take Miami. All they do is win and cover games. I mean, that's what they do.
That's why I thought it was heavy, Sean. And when I see a heavy line, I automatically, when I see something that looks too heavy, now Jesse thinks it's accurate, and that's okay. That's why I like listening to you guys, because I might be missing something along the line. It just jumped out at me because I'm looking, I was thinking 3.5, maybe.
Yeah.
It just, because of the competitiveness between these four teams right now, but 5.5.
One of the things I'm looking at, Ross, is Miami, they come from behind, but they also shot 60% from the field against Texas, 66% from inside the arc. And I'm not sure if you can rely on doing that. If that's what it takes to come from behind and win a game, you can't count on shooting 60 to 66% every
especially
time.
when you're playing a team, like I said, like UConn, who's holding teams less than 60 points and 35% shooting in the tournament. Gentlemen,
real fast, Ross, can we say that, like, Texas and Houston are probably two of the top 5 teams coming into the tournament?
Absolutely.
And they just knocked them off with relative, I don't say relative ease because they came back, but you still got to make the shot, 67% shooting. Knock those two off. Indiana was a team I thought could maybe make a run. We saw them play really good.
Yeah.
Destroyed them.
Yeah.
And then the defense against Drake, like Drake didn't score for the last 5-6 minutes of the game. And then you see a 5, you're like, you got to be, what is going on here? Like, UConn's good. It's just
UConn also, guys, keep in mind, UConn 15-0 straight up and 14-1 against the spread in non-conference games this year. So
and they beat Alabama. In non-conference play.
Yep, exactly. They had some really good wins in non-conference play. Actually,
they were ranked number 2 in the country.
All right, gentlemen, I hate to cut us short. It's been a great conversation. We got 2 minutes, real fast, Sean, which I know real fast is 10 minutes for you, but I'm going to have to say lightning quick. Tell the folks how you've been doing of late, or what you may have coming up, whatever you prefer, how you want to promote yourself at picksandparleys.net.
Yep. So listen, Midday Money is 7 days a week. We do a late show, obviously down with baseball. Look headlines, check that out. It's usually around 10, 11 o'clock. I try to get a little earlier now. I don't need midnight with the lines already up. Twitter, Mr. Sean Higgs, as I said, and a lot of baseball. Go get it. I got a, I should just say instead of sitting real fast. $31.20 for a week of plays with promo code Madness. That's on the win and free pick side of Picks and Parlays, so go to that site. But $31.20 for a week, you're going to get minimum 30 to 50 baseball games. So $1 a pick, not even counting everything else that I'm going to put out there. So definitely worth it. There
you go. One of the finest handicappers in the country today, Mr. Sean Higgs of picksandparleys.net. And Jesse, again, I hate to cut you guys short, but we got to make this quick.
JesseSchule.com, at Jesse Schule on Twitter, Jesse Schule Picks on YouTube. Started last baseball season 9-1 with my first 10 picks. You come see me at JesseSchule.com. You'll be glad that you did.
Cool Jesse Schule. Cool Jesse
Schule. He's fueling a little Hulk Hogan there.
Yes, he is, man. It's almost an ad from the 1980s. Stu Feiner would have been very proud of you, Jesse. Anyway, you can find me at rbwins.com. rbwins.com, folks. During the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, I went 8-2. Over the last 8 days, I'm 12-4 in all sports. And also that all sports run extends back to March 10th, which I'm 30-18, 63% in all sports since March 10th. So been on a nice roll, especially in college basketball. rbwins.com, jesseschule.com, picksandparleys.net for Sean Higgs. And until the next time, folks, I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless.